Ready to soundtrack your summer? With Red Bull Summer All Day Play, you choose a playlist that fits your summer vibe the best. Are you a festival fanatic, a deep-end DJ, a road dog, or a trail mixer? Just add a song to your chosen playlist and put your summer on track. Red Bull Summer All Day Play. Red Bull gives you wings. Visit redbull.com/brightsummer to learn more. See you this summer.
So good, so good, so good.
Everything you want for summer is at Nordstrom Rack stores now, and up to 60% off. Stock up and save on the brands you love like Vince, Sam Edelman, Frame, and Free People. Join the Nordy Club to unlock exclusive discounts, shop new arrivals first, and more. Plus, buy online and pick up at your favorite Rack store for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you Rack.
Welcome to the Susan Lopresti Wellness Mind, Body, and Soul podcast, the go-to space for midlife and mature women who are ready to reclaim their health, boost their energy, and live long, vibrant, and purposeful lives. Each week, we dive deep into natural wellness, holistic healing, anti-aging strategies, and healthy lifestyle habits to help you feel your best physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Whether you're navigating menopause, working through chronic conditions, or simply wanting to age gracefully and intentionally, this show is your sanctuary for science-backed insights, powerful stories, and soul-nourishing inspiration. So if you're a woman in your 40s or 50s or older looking to thrive in the next chapter of your life, you're in the right place. Today's guest is Kristina Scaglione. She is a licensed clinical social worker and the innovative founder of Root and Rise Clinical Specialist and Limitless Integrative Wellness, home of the Mind Spa, a groundbreaking collective redefining therapy and wellness. Known for her straightforward approach, Kristina combines firm accountability with radical compassion, guiding clients towards lasting transformation through her unique mental wealth care philosophy. Mental wealth care redefines traditional self-help by treating your mind as your most valuable asset, something to be intentionally nurtured, protected, and cultivated. It's about investing in your emotional and psychological well-being with the same dedication as your financial health, fostering lasting balance, clarity, and fulfillment. With over 14 years of experience, Kristina is recognized for integrating evidence-based psychotherapy with holistic, creative, and somatic techniques. She is trained in EMDR, certified in DBT, EFT, and advanced holistic counseling, working with adults, couples, and LGBTQIA plus individuals who seek genuine, lasting change. Her sessions are clear, empowering, and focus on results, centered on authenticity, independence, and meaningful human connection. Before founding her practice, Kristina earned her BS in criminal justice from Northeastern University, where she co-developed youth gang intervention programs, LGBTQIA plus mentoring services, and LGBTQIA plus suicide hotline. She later obtained her MSW from Stony Brook University, focusing on macro social work, psychopharmacology, CBT, and crisis intervention. Through Root and Rise, Kristina and her co-founder, Julie Stark, have built a boutique psychotherapy practice known for precision, creativity, and heart. With Limitless Integrative Wellness, she expanded that mission into a multidisciplinary mind spa environment where mental health intersects with movement, mindfulness, medicine, and modern healing practices under one roof. The collective brings together therapists, wellness professionals, fitness experts, and creative healers in a space designed to support mind, body, and spirit. At the core, Kristina believes that healing isn't one dimensional, and neither are we. Her approach goes beyond traditional therapy limits, empowering clients and clinicians alike to prioritize their mental well care and push past boundaries. Without further ado, Kristina, welcome to my podcast. I'm so honored to have you here today, and I really just can't wait to dive into this conversation with you.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. I want to begin by asking you what inspired you to move from traditional clinical work into creating Root and Rise clinical specialist and eventually the Mind Spa concept?
Okay, great. So I have always had a model of holistic counseling that incorporated more than just your traditional talk therapy. So over the last decade, I've always incorporated outside external referrals to people who maybe would practice outside the scope of care that I could provide. For example, like nutrition, personal training, any sort of like health consult that might improve their ability to reach their goals with me a little bit better. I've also incorporated different types of coaching and coaches, spiritual intuition coaches and things like that, depending on what my clients' goals are. It's been a long time coming, and I would say that COVID escalated the need for it. And so in my own health journey, in the middle of COVID, I basically developed a team of providers, both Eastern and Western, that worked so well together. They collaborated so well together that I was like, this has got to be something, because I've never seen Eastern and Western clinicians practice so well together to try to help a patient, which would be me, right? So I took that and I ran with it. The Limitless Integrative Wellness is the umbrella of what houses all these clinicians, and the clinical aspect of it, Rise Clinical Specialist, is my therapy practice that I co-own with my co-founder, Julie Stark. So we have that section that we primarily maintain, but the overall wellness collective is under the umbrella of Limitless Integrative Wellness, and each provider that's here works independently and manages their own practice, but chooses to collaborate in the collective, if that makes sense.
Yes, I love that concept. That's great. If you would, could you explain to my audience simply what is EMDR, DBT, and EFT?
Sure. So I'll start with DBT, is dialectical behavioral therapy, which really, to simplify it, it helps clients increase their distress tolerance skills. So it's a form of helping people think less black and white and to help them increase distress tolerance in any form. So it can be very applicable to a lot of different things in our lives. But let's say you struggle with any sort of dysmorphia around the holidays about your body and about your image and how much you consume. Using DBT can be very helpful in reducing those type of thoughts and to help you get more into the middle of what you can control versus what you can't control, and using distress tolerance practices to reduce your anxiety around getting into this holiday season. So that's DBT. EFT is emotional freedom technique. Its nickname on the streets is tapping. Yes. And most people understand it to be tapping. So it's really popular in the sense that it's less talking. You love it. So you know it. Okay, awesome. So it's less talking and more releasing. And what that, I guess in layman's terms, we'll start with trigger words that you are experiencing in the moment. We'll try to trace where you might feel that in your physical body. And you can use sensation words like, oh, my chest feels tight, or my shoulders feel heavy, or my jaw is clenched, or my neck feels sore. Any of those would be fine in regard to, let's say, an emotional issue that's coming up for you. And then we'll scale it from 0 to 10. And then I'll go through a battery of tapping points that mimic acupressure points that an acupuncturist might use, but you tap on yourself. So it's a monkey see, monkey do experience where I say and do certain things, and then you copy me. And I try to make it a little funny in the beginning for somebody who's never done tapping before. So I'll do like a couple of rounds showing them where the points are. And I'll say, I don't know what I'm doing, so just copy me anyway. And then after I do that, people let go and release into the actual modality. And then we go through several of those till we get your number wherever it was. Let's say it was above a 5. We want to get that as close to a 1 as possible. So we just keep repeating that until you get to a 1. And it's really popular with my younger population, like the young adults, late teens, young adults, and men, because there's less chatting involved.
Yes, that makes sense.
And less talking means less rumination. And so that's why it's super popular. And it's also my go-to before EMDR, because I think it establishes quicker results without having to drudge up any of the trauma that somebody might have experienced. But EMDR, I would say, for a more intense situation or crisis, or even past trauma, it doesn't have to be a current crisis, but EMDR stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It's a psychotherapy to help people heal from trauma by processing distressing memories using a bilateral stimulation. And that could mean eye movement, or it could also mean holding two different pods in your hand that vibrate separately. Mm-hmm. And you could also do this with lights or music. It's similar to REM sleep. So it reduces the emotional charge of bad memories so they can become less disturbing and can be integrated adaptively. And so those are the three modalities that I use, but I have a specialist in my clinical specialists list who specializes in RTM, which is even faster than EFT and EMDR. And it's the reorganization of traumatic memories. And it's a little bit newer to the team, if you will, or to the modalities, but that is something that it uses cognitive behavioral therapy and neurolinguistics to reprogram our traumatic memory, and it does it in 3 sessions or less.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
I know.
remarkable.
Lots of different things here.
Yeah, I never heard of that one before. You said it's relatively new?
Well, I would say it's new to I don't want to say it's that new. It's been around 25 years, but I'll say it's new to pop culture, and it's new to the street in the sense of what people are practicing. And it's like how there was EMDR and then EFT broke off of EMDR and is relatively younger. So I call EFT is the cousin of EMDR. And then we have the younger cousin of that is RTM. So it has empirical data, and it takes about 25 to 30 years to be able to be recognized as a model that can be used. Yeah. So it is new, but it's been around, if that helps explain it.
Yeah. I've heard that EMDR has great results.
It can. Yeah, it can have great results. It does help you reprocess any events. It transforms negative beliefs like I'm helpless into positive ones like I've survived and I'm strong. It just takes a little bit more time.
Yeah. So you're known for combining firm accountability with radical compassion. How did that become the foundation of your therapeutic style?
Susan, I'm sure this won't surprise you, but I am a no BS therapist. So I take a very accountable approach in the sense of I'm really real with my clients. I don't sugarcoat things. I don't have the therapist deadpan face in sessions. I'm very animated. And because I have a no BS approach, my clients have described it as I might have a no BS type of style, but I'm extremely accepting and non-judgmental. So even though I hold somebody accountable, they still feel supported and safe in my sessions. So I guess that's a really professional way of saying what I just said.
Yeah. Oh, I love that though. I love that approach.
Yeah. It's like how you would want your best friend to talk to you.
Yes.
But we're not friends. I'm your clinician. It's like that in between, because I have the luxury of not having expectations of you. And a friend might have expectations of you, but I have the luxury of hanging out in neutrality. So I don't have the expectations and you don't have to impress me, but I'm definitely going to call you out on stuff that's not helping.
Yeah. A little bit like tough love.
Yeah. Tough love, but no shaming.
Yes. That's good. How do you define mental wealth care for someone hearing the term for the first time?
That is a term that Julie Stark coined, and we have a couple of variations of explaining it, but I guess the simplest way I could explain it is we invest in a lot of different things in our lives to help us have a better future, and mental health needs to be looked at the same way. And it's not just the traditional fix your brain type of thing. It's let's fix a lot of different things in your life that will make your life more full. So we approach it more as a collaborative experience where we're addressing multiple things in your life to help you live your best version of yourself. And then to be able to take that and continue to reinvest in yourself, just like you would with your 401k.
Yeah. I love that concept also. Wow, great information. And we often hear about self-care, but you emphasize treating the mind like a valuable asset. So I guess that's what you're talking about in that
Definitely.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because one of the things that we've heard, at least in my field, this is something that we refer to when you break your arm or
Yeah.
you break something or you have a significant injury in your body, what do you do with that? What do you hang out at home and ignore it? Maybe some people do, but what would you do, Susan?
The majority, if I thought I broke my arm, I'd go to the emergency room and have it set.
Right. Yeah, and have it
Yeah.
because it seems like a tangible, fixable issue. And I think sometimes therapy is looked at as it's an intangible. It's not something that we can always pinpoint. Yes, there might be an event, but sometimes there isn't just one event. Sometimes
Right.
it's just somebody's overall experience on this earth that could be contributing to problems that they're experiencing, or they're not even sure that's what it stems from. So I think that it's something that is less likely to be addressed because people think that they can white knuckle through most things. And I think culture and society has a big role to play in that. And what we want to try to redefine is how you look at it, because your mind, without your mind, what else can function in your physical being or in
Right.
your spiritual being if you don't have your mind intact? So your mind should be a valuable asset that you look at as an investment, like you would when you buy a house or buy a car or find a career that fits your lifestyle. Like your brain is extremely important and it influences how your body feels.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that. What are some common mistakes that people make when trying to take care of themselves? Like they say, "Oh no, I don't need a therapist." And how
Yeah,
can
I
they
hear that a
reach
lot.
what's that?
I
You
hear
hear,
that a lot. I hear that a lot.
and how can they redirect their energy more effectively?
How many places in your week do you have a whole 50 minutes to an hour of undivided attention from someone who's technically a specialist?
Me, myself? Yeah, no.
So you get to come in here and have one whole hour or a 50-minute hour where you are completely the center of attention. And you get to discuss whatever it is that you want to discuss uninterrupted with a specialist who's there to help you make sense of it, find solutions, or help you find skills to reduce whatever suffering is occurring because of that issue. But it's undivided attention, it's yours. So who wouldn't want like somebody who you could be friends with but isn't your not technical friend, but could see yourself having a friendship with this person, and they are completely dedicated to you for that entire hour, and they get to work with you one-on-one to resolve anything in your life. I don't see why that wouldn't be something everybody would want.
Absolutely.
And the way that we have revamped our models of reaching you because of COVID, we are hybrid now. So you don't have to sit with me. I can call you. We can do telehealth. We can do lots of different variations here to make it very accessible for you. And we're licensed in multiple states. So you don't even have to be a New Yorker to work with us. You could be in Connecticut, Massachusetts, Florida, or New York. And we can do any sort of version of care that way. And it also, I think it's scary for people. To answer the second part of your question, I think most people think something might be wrong with them if they have to go to therapy. And I would like to change that, because therapy, yeah, it's available to you when you're in crisis, but it's also available and effective when you're not in crisis. And you don't have to be in crisis to call us. You could just be someone who wants to have a better organization of your own stream of thought.
Yeah, but I think it's more mainstream these days than it was. I think probably 15, 20 years ago, if someone heard that you were in therapy, they'd be, oh, she must be.
It is coming away from that, but I still
Yes.
find that people, it's mixed. It's a mixed bag. For as progressive as culture has become, we still have some stigma around therapy.
Yeah. But I think it's getting less and less,
I hope
hopefully.
so.
Yeah, I hope so too. So you integrate evidence-based psychotherapy with somatic, creative, and holistic techniques. So can you tell us a little bit about that, what it looks like in a real session with a client?
Every single session is different because it's customized to the client themselves. So if I gave an example, I could say some of my intakes look a little bit like I try to get a better understanding of what your day-to-day looks like, because I want to understand how you navigate your regular challenges. Like work, school, family, whatever it is that your setup is. I want to understand from when you wake up until when you go to sleep and throughout the entire week. So 7 days will cover what a typical week looks like for you so that I can get a better understanding of how you move through your life. And then I'll start to assess what areas with the client, because it's a collaborative experience. I'll ask them to fill out a few different things to measure on their own account, like how they would measure certain areas of their life and if they think it could be improved or if they think it's at a perfect level now and needs no improvement. And so we go through those little scales so that I can understand exactly what has to be addressed and where is it more important to start. So we go through that first to collect as much data as possible. That's usually the first session, combined with paperwork that they fill in beforehand. Then I start with skills immediately. And so I want to know, how do you handle certain things? What is it that you already know so that I'm not repeating things that you already practice? And I want to optimize our time. So I try to get a good understanding of what it is that you believe in and what are your core beliefs and if you have a spiritual practice. I have to know all of that before I get into most of our skills. And then I choose from a very large toolbox of what would be helpful. But some of the foundational ones that I usually begin with are learning how to ground your physical body within 3 minutes or less so that you can use this anywhere, anytime. And then I also go through how to utilize tools that you already have inside of you, like your lungs and your senses. So I go through how to use those to help direct your day and manage your own emotions. So the two fundamental skills are taught within the first 2 sessions.
So what do you do in regards to the lungs?
I teach people how to properly breathe because I think that most people, we breathe to stay alive, but we don't recognize that when we're concentrating, when we're busy, when we're stressed, we actually hold our breath.
Yeah.
And to remind people that they do that is often a surprise in the session. And when I have somebody go through a proper breathing technique, they're lightheaded because they don't properly breathe through the day. Yeah. So I teach them how we can breathe to optimize our life instead of just to survive. And I go through some of the scientific data around how we've learned to breathe and what we do that's not helpful and how improper breathing can lead to more of a panic and anxiety situation, whereas you can ground yourself pretty easily and breathe and recenter yourself almost instantly.
So basically it's breath work practices.
Yep.
Like the box breath is
4-7-8 breathing.
Yeah.
And different ways in which you can utilize this anywhere you are, because no one's going to ask you. I think a lot of times people worry that everybody's looking at them. No one's going to ask you why you're doing certain things or why you're breathing a certain way. Most people won't even, especially in New York, we're not going to say anything. We're not going to ask you on the train what you're doing.
No one cares what you're doing.
Yeah, no one.
Talk to me about somatic therapy.
So somatic therapy can be a couple of different things. It's about connecting trauma and the body, in the sense that trauma can be sometimes an invisible wound that manifests not just in the mind, but also somewhere where you keep it in your body, and it can cause pain. So if that makes sense. So let's say you're prone to migraines, or you're prone to back aches when you're stressed out or when there's conflict in your life. That can be a sign that somatic therapy would be helpful to you. So it uses body awareness, breath work, and movement exercises to be more aware of your bodily sensations and to release stored emotions. So tapping is very helpful with this, but so is other forms of, like, trauma-informed yoga, for instance, is often something that I would refer clients to do. And this type of therapy is used to treat conditions like PTSD, anxiety, depression, and chronic pain. So it depends on what the individual is presenting with.
So you said it's trauma yoga?
I said I don't specialize in that, but I will often refer to trauma-informed yoga.
Oh, I never heard of that before.
Yeah, so there's not, again, you have to do your research in your area, but trauma-informed yoga therapy is a body-based approach that creates safe, empowering, choice-driven movements in an environment that is set up to heal trauma. So yes, most yoga is very intentional, but when it's trauma-informed, it's focusing on the nervous system regulation and self-awareness, and the choice part is extremely important.
Oh, that's interesting. So for clients who feel stuck or resistance to change, what tools and methods have you found most powerful for them?
Stuck or resistant to change?
Yeah.
I think sometimes the art of the conversation is moving. It can be moving. So if I find that someone is stuck or they've come, by the time they get to me, they're already with a therapist that they feel stuck with. And so they're trying out a different type of style. And in that conversation, I often ask, how is what you're doing or what you're committed to continuing to do sometimes, how is that helping the situation? And I have to gauge their willingness to change and willingness to try new things to shift their experience. And that's often what creates the stuckness, is that they're not always aware that they're contributing to the stuckness by their maybe unconscious unwillingness to try things that they may not have familiarity with.
Interesting. What about the mind spa? That's a unique and innovative concept. What makes the environment different from traditional spaces?
Limitless integrative wellness is the mind spa. And what that means is they don't have to be a therapist client to experience this. Anyone can experience the mind spa. But as an example, let's say you're a client of mine and you're here and you are experiencing certain things that might be trapped in your body. So somatic would be one of those things that I would suggest that you go and you sit with my massage therapist and make an appointment right outside of this door. You go over here and make an appointment with her, and she does Reiki, and she does Reiki massage, but she also does traditional massage along with lymphatic drainage. And she happens to have a specialty in chronic illness that is usually from trapping emotions in your body. So I would say your mind spa experience is being able to have access to all these different clinicians that can enhance your therapeutic journey. The massage therapy is one aspect of it. I have a vitamin IV infusion person that's here. I have a concierge MD that's here. I have a hypnotherapist. I have spiritual coaches, tarot card readers, psychic mediums, acupuncturists. And so that mind spa is all of these different holistic models that work together collaboratively to try to transform a client's experience from start to finish. But where you begin on that journey is up to you.
Yeah. And it's one big umbrella. So it's a one-stop shop, which
Right.
I absolutely love. I love that concept.
And a lot of us provide hybrid services. So like
Yeah.
I was saying before, you don't have to enter into the mind spa any particular way. There's no rule of thumb. You just make an appointment with any of our providers and you can collaborate based on your interests from that point forward.
Yeah. Do you see in the future the integrative approach becoming a more standard way for mental health care?
I don't
I,
see how it couldn't.
I would hope it does.
Yeah, I feel like we're at a point where the market is saturated with a type of approach that isn't working. And it's like a therapy mill type of model that we are, I would say we're funneled into this process because of insurance and the way that they dictate how we can provide care to ourselves. So that's an important reason why we don't take insurance, because we don't want to be controlled by another company on how to provide care. But because that model exists, I think the therapy mills that we're seeing online and in other type of clinics, you don't get to really choose who you sit with. Provide your information, you get told what you're going to pay, and then whoever has an opening for the times that you're available, you get placed with. And that doesn't necessarily make for a very positive experience.
So, for someone struggling with emotional overwhelm or burnout, what's the first step that you would recommend for them?
Detoxing from technology.
Ah, love that.
The first thing would be
Tell me
stop,
why.
because most of that is actually, this is one of those things that I think people aren't always aware of unless they're bringing their attention to why they're feeling overwhelmed or burnt out. Whether or not it was the chicken or the egg scenario is not important, but most times people are doom scrolling on their phone to numb out from the stress that they're experiencing at work or at home. And then it just feeds itself from there. And the next thing you're on your phone or on your laptop or whatever it is that you prefer to use for 13 or more hours a day, which is certainly not contributing to your wellness, and it's not helping you feel more fulfilled. It's actually doing the opposite and making you feel more drained. So I would say start with a tech detox and then call your therapist.
Wow. So, what are some of the most powerful transformations that you've witnessed in your practice?
Susan, I don't have time to tell you all of those. Oh my gosh. I've been in practice for over 12 years. There's so many different things.
Something that stands out in your mind in some way?
I guess I could tell you the story about a client who, I do a lot of law of attraction work in my practice. So I talk about the laws of the universe and energy. I do a lot of energy education. And one of the things that I like to do, and it's around this time of year, that we do a battery of review, if you will, of the last year leading up to now, because we're approaching the new year. So we go through like an inventory of what the year was like, and then we make a new goal. I don't call it a goal list. I call it a vision statement of what we want to bring in for the new year. So now it'll be, what do we want to bring in for 2026 and what can we leave behind in 2025? So in that time period, I like to do vision statements and vision boards
I love a
with
vision board. I
with
do
my
one
clients.
every year.
So yeah, so do I. So I go through what that looks like, how we're going to manifest what we really want. And some of the most entertaining and I would say pivotal experiences my clients have had is around now when they can reflect back to their vision board and see what's come true.
Yeah.
And what they would like to carry over to their next year. And there's two things that I can share about vision boards that just, I think, blew my clients away. One of my clients had put a house on their vision board, and it wasn't for the house itself. It was just the aesthetic appeal of the house. And it was like, I'd like to have a house like this one day. And that house, it was just a random picture that they screenshot off their phone and then printed it. There was nothing special about the address or anything. So that particular house, this person was looking for houses, and this was well before COVID. So this is before the housing market became what it is. So they were looking, but passively, because they didn't have to move. They just wanted to move. And so they wanted something bigger for their kids and for their pets and et cetera. They get a call from one of their real estate agents. And they said, this particular house we want to bring you to, it has that aesthetic appeal that you like. It's technically a short sale. So it's not what you're really looking for, and it's foreclosed and no one's living in it. And there's a couple of things we have to explain, but let me just come and show you the house. So they go and they see the house, and they love the aesthetic appeal of it, but they were concerned because it's a short sale and they didn't have that kind of money laying around to buy the house, but and it was also missing half the roof. So they were like, oh my God, I don't know. So long story short, they put a bid on the house. They ended up finding a lender to help them figure that out. They come in and they show me the house that they picked. And I said, can we go back to your vision board? It looks really familiar. So we go back to the vision board, and I said, can you just go back to that screenshot and just zoom in so we can see what the address is? It ended up being that house.
Oh my goodness.
It ended up being that same house. And that same house, if you go onto this online, I think it was realtor.com or whatever, it was bought and sold 4 times in the 2 years that this person was looking for housing. And they didn't know, because it wasn't something on their, even in their search criteria. So they didn't have any idea what the history of this house had gone through in the last 2 years. And they ended up with the same house that they put on their vision board. And there was no awareness to it. And I use that as an example when I teach people about vision boards, because what you put on there that you have no emotional connection to, no previous experience with, or any judgment towards it, often happens the first. It happens the first thing on your board and the fastest, because there's no emotional blocking. And so I use that as an example. And another one was a woman that I've been working with for a couple of years. She did a vision board about 2 or 3 years ago, and she put voiceover work on there. And I actually had no idea she had any interest in voiceover work at the time. And so when she brought these pictures in and put it on the board, I was like, oh, tell me more about that. She tells me about how she's always dreamt of being a voiceover actress or artist and wanted to possibly do this when she retired one day. Mm-hmm. I said, oh, that's really interesting. What if you did it before you retired? And what if you created a business where you didn't have to work in this particular setup and you could be your own business owner? And I just pushed a couple of ideas her way, and she got very excited about the idea, put the voiceover work on. Obviously, COVID happens. What a great opportunity to start working on your voiceover business. Yeah. Fast forward 3 years, that's exactly what she's doing now for her job.
Wow.
And all the little things that happen in between, from putting it on the board to now, isn't necessarily the important stuff. It's part of the journey. Yeah. But the wow stuff is, I'm going to put something on there for fun that'll probably never happen. And that ends up being the first thing that happens.
Yeah, that's incredible. You know what? I've been doing vision boards every year for probably, I don't know, let's say 2009, 2010. And I put them on a big oak tag, and I leave it in my office for the full year. And then come January 1, I roll it up, I put it in my closet, and I start a new one. And I go back to them from time to time and open them up and see. And it may not have happened in the year that I put it on there. It could happen 2 years later. And I'm like, oh, wow, I even forgot that I put that on my vision board.
Yeah.
I'm not even focusing on what it is that I want anymore because now I have a new one, but they still come to
Yeah,
be.
because you put it out there, you put the intention out there.
Yes.
And the review of the vision boards is fun too. But do you actually include like something outlandish on your vision boards?
No, but I'm going to
You
try
should
that.
put
Yeah.
something out there. Put something that you think would be so wild. Some of the things that I ask my clients to do just for fun is, that you'll be interviewed for Men's Health. Like, just put it on there. You'll end up in a magazine somehow. Hopefully it's
Yeah.
not salacious, but we'll put a couple things in there that you think would be just out of this world, but would be fun if it happened. Doesn't have to happen in your life, but would be fun if it did, or it would be really something newsworthy for the family newsletter. Let's see what happens. And if there's no judgment and no previous bad experience with it, then what's the harm in putting something on there that may or may not happen? That could be fun.
Yeah. I'm going to do that too. I'll let you know about that, Kristina.
Yeah, please do.
Before I ask you for final thoughts, if your listeners could start practicing mental wealth care today, what are 3 small but meaningful changes that they could make?
Well, if they're willing to look at their mental health as a wealthy service to themselves, in the sense of understanding that investing in yourself will always pay you back, and understanding that concept will never fail. Like, if you invest in you, then it will always pay you back in many ways, and in many folds. Very small things they can do for free would be to assess how they're spending their time every day. And if they're not sure, then go on their phones. Most of our smartphones now have this capability of tracking how much time we're on there. So track your screen time and see how much time you're spending doing productivity things versus like social media. And then try to reverse, if you have too much of social media, try to lessen that. And if you have too much productivity and not enough free time, try to strike something in the middle and reduce the screen time overall where you're optimizing your time. I would say that's one thing that they can do. Also, be mindful of how much they're putting into their bodies that could be considered a toxin, because that influences how your brain functions. It also affects how you feel emotionally. So if you happen to be, this is something I've done recently with a brand new client, young college student, works full-time, goes to school full-time, has a 45-minute commute both ways to school. So he's in the car over 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
And he's not in a state where he could really bring food with him and keep it in the car because it would spoil because of the heat and temperature. So one of the things I had suggested was, tell me how you eat every day. And he said, I have no choice but to stop at fast food chains. And I said, okay, so that could be contributing to some of the depression that you feel. Next time you go, or next time you have an opportunity to go to any of these places, try to pick the healthiest item that's available. You don't have to change your pattern, just change what you're choosing and try to drink less soda, more water, and see how you feel. Within a week, he felt a significant change.
Yeah,
so just changing small things. So drinking more water is one thing. Yes, of course. Reducing the inflammation from choosing different foods. And I also suggested to him, try to make it easier for yourself. And anytime that you want to invest in yourself, try to stack it with stuff that you're already doing so it doesn't feel overwhelming. And for example, what I mean by that is, let's say you're like me and you want to pick up your tea or coffee to go. Try to do something that's healthy for yourself in addition to when you're going into this place to grab your thing or to pick up your mobile order or whatever it is. Make sure your affirmations that you might want to say every day are on your dashboard so you don't have to make another step in your day to build that in. Put it somewhere where you're already going to be. So it could be in the bathroom because you're going to be brushing your teeth or getting dressed or going to the bathroom before you go to work. So you can hang up your affirmations or your goals there. You can put them on the dashboard. You can put little reminders by your coffee machine if you choose to make that at home instead. And you build it, habit stack, so that you don't have to create additional time that you may feel you don't have to incorporate healthy choices.
Yeah, that's fabulous. That's fabulous. I love that idea. So final thoughts for my listeners, what would you say?
Like I said before, investing in yourself will always pay you back. And I would say giving to yourself can look a lot of different ways in the sense of choosing better for yourself and doing things differently for yourself in 2026. And one of the things I would tell you is when you're choosing to invest in yourself, make sure it's in a way that actually serves you. So sometimes people will try to justify certain habits that aren't necessarily healthy, but they enjoy them, like smoking, drinking, fast food delivery. And I would just ask them, like, yes, you can enjoy those things, but tell me how it's helping you reach any of your goals. And so just try to assess what it is that you're putting your time and energy towards, and could you shift it a little bit and just a smidge so that you can make room for a different choice? And what would you do with that different choice if you had the room for it?
Yeah, that's beautiful. Great advice. So people can find you online. What is your website?
So I have www.limitlessintegrativewellness.com, or
Okay.
you could go to www.rootandrisecs.com. I'll
Okay.
give you all the information if you wanted
Yes,
to
please. I'll put it in the
attach
show
it.
notes. Also, any social media platforms that you're on, I'll take that as
Yeah,
well.
we're on all of
Kristina,
them.
this was such a pleasure.
Thank you so much,
So
Susan.
I love the fact that we could work online. So I could see you right here on Zoom. I don't
Yep.
even need to leave my house, and other
Nope.
people could do the same, which is fabulous.
Yep.
And I will definitely, when I'm in Port Jeff, will stop by.
Yes, come visit us
I
from
would love
Bayside.
to. I would love to. Thank you so much. Happy holidays to
Thanks.
you.
You too,
I love
Susan.
what you're doing, and I wish you continued success.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for joining me for this powerful conversation with Kristina Scaglione. Her work reminds us that healing isn't one-dimensional, and neither are we. Mental wealth care isn't just a concept, it's an invitation to invest in the most valuable assets we have: our minds, our emotional well-being, and our inner truth. If today's episode inspired you, I encourage you to explore more of Kristina's work at Root and Rise Clinical Specialist and Limitless Integrative Wellness, home of the Mind Spa. Her integrative, compassionate, and forward-thinking approach is truly changing the landscape of mental health and holistic healing. As always, thank you for listening to Susan Lopresti Wellness, Mind, Body, and Soul. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might benefit from these insights. Your support helps this podcast grow and reach more midlife women and men looking to reclaim their health, their clarity, and their joy. Until the next time, remember, your mental wealth is worth protecting, nurturing, and prioritizing every single day. Take good care of yourself, your mind, body, and soul.